he answered that really well. The first question was thrown at him, which you get these questions as a manager which you can't give the right answer to. Is this a step up for you? Now, he upsets the Celtic fans if he says yes. And he upsets the Spurs fans no matter what he says.
Of course, yeah.
So he's answered it well. He says, I just see it as a new challenge. And then the other question he's got about Harry Kane, he'll start to get fed up with it soon. This is how the conversation would go. I don't know, but I would imagine when you're trying to keep your best striker and Harry Kane's going to go in and have a conversation with him, Harry Kane would say to him, who are we signing and how much money you got? Oh, yeah, but I'm going to take the club forward. Yeah, I know what you're saying. But how much money have you got to spend? And who are we signing? Then I'll decide if I stay or not. That's what Harry will be asking him. Who are we signing?
I'm sure they've had lots of conversations, and probably you're right, they've revolved certain things like that. 03717 223344 is the number to call us on if you want to have your say on the Harry Kane future. Should he stay and break the Premier League goal record, or move to increase his chances perhaps of winning a trophy? Aaron has done exactly that. He has rung up to have his say. Should say, Aaron, you are an Arsenal fan, just to make everyone aware. But what's your opinion on it, Aaron? Good morning.
Morning, Aaron.
Hi there. Well, if you look at it objectively, records can be broken. I mean, this entire conversation is a record that can be broken. Trophies can't. When you look back at your career, trophies are a signifier of how successful you were in your career. And if you're looking at Tottenham right now, objectively, I know I'm an Arsenal fan, pick an unproven manager, a club that's unwilling to pay £40 million for a new goalkeeper, which is one of their weak points in their side at the moment. And you look on the other side, and you've got Thomas Tuchel, a club that's won umpteen trophies in a row, multiple Champions League winners within the last 10 years. It's a no-brainer, isn't it?
Well, it's interesting you say that. I mean, Ange Postecoglou has won a fair few trophies in his managerial career, so perhaps that's a bit harsh. I don't
want to be disrespectful to him, but the Scottish Premier League, we've seen Steven Gerrard win that quite comfortably, come to England and absolutely fail with Aston Villa. So, with respect to the SPL, which is a good league, using that as a signifier of Premier League success, especially when you've had Antonio Conte and Jose Mourinho, to the best managers, fail at Tottenham.
Aaron, who would you say has been your best manager in the last 20, 30 years?
Well, I mean, we'd say Arsene Wenger, but...
Right, so he didn't have the best CV in terms of the clubs he worked at, you might argue.
Most certainly. It's obviously not having a winning past is the best signifier. But if you're looking at Harry Kane, who's thinking, I'm 29, I'm in coming up to the twilight of my career in the next 4 or 5 seasons. Are you going to hedge a bet on a manager who has won things in leagues that aren't necessarily the best quality leagues in the world? Or are you going to bet on someone who's very successful, won the Champions League at Chelsea, in the team that's won umpteen Bundesligas in a row?
I agree with you, Aaron. Trophies. I think Spurs have gambled. I agree with you. I mean, they've gone the other route with Mourinho and Conte.
Yeah, that's true.
But there's no use taking them two on and not giving them enough money.
That's probably the biggest issue.
You've got to give them the money. If you want to win the league,
yes,
you're going to have to give them money as well.
As we know, when Conte left under that cloud of that big speech that he'd made about big name managers coming to this club and failing because clearly not being supported. Aaron, good points. Thank you very much for calling us and having your say on that. Let's speak now to the host of the Last Word on Spurs podcast, Ricky Sachs, who's probably been sitting there and wanting to just get involved in this conversation already. Morning to you, Ricky.
Morning, guys.
Ricky.
How you doing? You well?
Yeah, very, very well. Thank you. I don't know, you may well have heard what Aaron had to say. Have you got any response?
What can I say? As being a Spurs fan, sure, guys. I just think, look, if you go back to Mourinho and Conte, we've got managers there that ultimately, in some form of a disregard, you could argue that their calibre of profile is actually bigger than the football club. I think what Tottenham need right now is a manager that simply wants to be there and sees Tottenham as a really great challenge at the point of their career. I just felt with both Jose and Antonio, to some degrees, there was a real impatience to want to be successful straight away. Because from the outside looking in, it's a wonderful training ground. It's a great stadium. It looks like it has all the foundations to be successful. But unfortunately, the culture from the very, very top of the club is not a winning mentality. And you've seen two of the biggest profiles of managers in the world that have come in and tried to bring that back to some form of a mentality of being able to win, and they've both failed to do so. And I think the one thing with Ange is that obviously he talks about that he's won in the past and he's won wherever he's been. But I think what people more care about is that we're going to hopefully see an exciting brand of football. And I think as Spurs fans now, I don't want to speak for everyone, but I think all we want to just see now is some form of a plan, of a vision coming together. Because when you are spending the highest season ticket prices in the country, if not across Europe, and you add to that the fact that Spurs have also just now upped the match day tickets as well, you at least want to see a product that you can relate to, that you can buy into, that you can actually feel there's a philosophy behind. And I think that's the one thing with Postecoglou's side, is that wherever he's been, however he's done it in terms of his own relative success, it's always been done playing a certain brand of front foot football, an aggressive style of play, a style of play that really endears the fan base. And Spurs over the last 3 to 4 years have had managers that have, quite frankly, in the nicest possible way I can say this, stunk the place out in terms of the brand of football, and they haven't been successful. So I think now, I know Dino called it a gamble, I think many Spurs fans now are happy to take that gamble, given the fact they've had two of the win-now managers at Tottenham. And you're right, they haven't been backed, I don't think, either, in terms of being able to be given the win-now players to be successful. But I think Tottenham, the closer they got to be successful, I don't want to bring his name up because I know Spurs fans don't want to hear about him right now, is that man down, of course, over at South West London. And, you know, arguably you'd say Postecoglou's identity and calibre is a similar level to when he came into the job at the time of 4 or 5 years ago. So I think there's cautious optimism, and I think Dean was right. He handled that press conference ever so well yesterday. He batted away the questions that he needed to. But I am getting tedious and I am getting bored, and it does feel like 2021 again with this constant speculation over Harry Kane. And I just feel something has to be done by Tottenham, by Kane at some point to shut this down, because I am concerned. We've been here before with Modric, with Berbatov, with Keane, with Bale, that this can override and overshadow a start to a season. So I hope Spurs and Kane, they do take some form of action so we don't have this drag on throughout the whole summer, because that's my concern at the moment, I'll be honest.
Well said. I think a lot of my mates who are Spurs fans, they've got to the point where they just say, can we just see some attacking football, please?
Yeah. Well, the football the last few years has been very disappointing, but that's why they brought in perhaps Postecoglou, who does play a very attractive possession-based, front-footed style. But
don't be surprised if you finish 8th.
Well, it's a job, isn't it? It's a rebuild. It's a start again job, and it's a start again job in terms of how they want to play. So maybe they're not going to get immediate success, but you might just see just that different style of play might just lead to a positive thinking going forward and it might be a better future for Spurs. Who knows?
talkSPORT Breakfast, waking you up Monday to Friday morning from 6 a.m. on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.